I bought a renewed Steelcase Leap V2 chair on Amazon for close to 65% off retail prices. According to Amazon, products with the renewed label have gone through diagnostic tests, thorough cleanings, and inspection processes. The pictures on Amazon even make this chair look brand new. Now, to give a bit of background, over the past year, I've bought multiple used office chairs on Amazon and eBay that were labeled as new open box. Ultimately, each chair was just an older refurbished office chair mislabeled as new open box in an attempt to make you feel like the deal was too good to pass up. In this listing's case, the seller properly labeled the chair as renewed, which is really just a different word for refurbished. So with an accurate listing, what can you expect from this $450 used or renewed Leap V2? The first thing I noticed about the pictures on Amazon was the color of the chair. A bright orange upholstery with a platinum frame. This is a very specific look and one that I believe I've seen before. Many months prior to seeing this Amazon listing, we were actually approached to buy a large inventory of orange and platinum chairs from California, but these were from 2007. Ultimately, we passed on the deal for other opportunities. But surely they couldn't be the same chairs though. Bright orange upholstery, that would likely be impossible to keep clean for 15 to 16 years. When I opened the box, I was really surprised to find that the base had the cylinder already pre-assembled. Was this done to help the assembly process? Or was it done because older cylinders tend to break when you try to remove them from the base? I know one thing, with this thing just floating around in the box, there's always a chance for damage. The cylinder itself was an original cylinder from a brand called Suspa. Now this is a top activated cylinder, likely from 2006 to early 2008. Now, Suspa no longer manufactures office chair cylinders in the United States, as the increased cost to produce them in the USA has made it impossible to stay competitive with Chinese manufacturers. But I was eager to get the chair assembled to see if it still worked properly. The assembly for this Leap V2 was a breeze, simply popping the 5 casters into the base and setting the core chair onto the cylinder. Within minutes, I had the chair out of the box and I was ready to run through testing. So how did the cylinder work was my first question. Now, while Suspa is known as a leader of top quality cylinders in their day, was this thing still smooth? Would there be issues like we've seen in the past where the chair won't spin properly? In the lowest seat height setting, the chair did actually have some issues with spinning. It wanted to rotate with the base with the upper half of the chair in unison. And I thought, aha, this must be the problem. But to my surprise, once the chair was extended up a bit, there were no issues. And the chair itself held its height and had good spring to it as well. But ultimately, how long will this ticking time bomb last? One thing's for sure, Suspa does make a good cylinder if this thing was still working so well. Going through the rest of the functions of the chair, everything else on it worked as you would expect. I tested the lumbar tension, lumbar height adjustment, arm height, pivot adjustments, all worked fine, which was great news. One thing that I knew for sure was Steelcase chairs with a top activated cylinder like this one were manufactured somewhere between 2006 and 2008. With that in mind, the overall condition of the platinum frame was actually to be expected. Just some small paint chips from the base, the lumbar tension knob that had clearly run into the desk over its long life, and upholstery that looked like someone had been sitting in it for well over a decade. The arm pads, on the other hand, looked brand new. Now, this was interesting because from what I was told, the arm pads had been replaced on all the Steelcase chairs from the batch I had talked about earlier in this story prior to them going out of warranty. Right after that point, the company had put almost all of their chairs into storage, and this is when they became available for sale. Now, this is definitely a win because the old, ugly, puffy armrests on the original 2006 to 2008 version of the chair are not good. The one part, though, I couldn't get over with this chair was the stains that are all over the upholstery and the smell that came from the chair. Now, during the assembly process, I did a quick smell test. Now, this is definitely the worst part of my job, but I do it for you guys. We have to know. I had to know when this chair was actually manufactured and how clean it really was. So I began by pulling the seat and the back from the frame of the chair to take a closer look. Now remember, in order to qualify for Amazon's renewed program, sellers need to do a thorough cleaning. And if this chair is in fact from 2006 to 2008, it will definitely need one. After pulling apart the seat pad from the sliding seat mechanism, I was able to get a closer look at the upholstery, and it was well worn. The stains on it left a lot to be desired, and after pulling the upholstery off the actual pad, the color difference was very obvious. The back pad, however, wasn't quite as bad, and overall, throughout the chair, there was just sort of that natural buildup of dust and dirt over the years. Now, I'm not quite sure it hit the mark on what Amazon requires for cleaning, but the chair itself functioned as it should. Now, going through all of the dates on the chair, this ended up being from 2007. The seat, back, and frame were all original components. But ultimately, it's hard for me to believe that the chair of this age with original upholstery can be sold as renewed without more accurate pictures describing the condition of the actual upholstery. Now, looking at some of the reviews on Amazon, I think others felt this way too.